Hello everybody from Hamburg, Germany. This is Transfermarkt TV International. This week's edition features some stunning records. We also have, of course, our rumor mill and a transfer market value update from the Serie A in Brazil. We start the show with Europe's and the world's brightest future stars, with João Félix receiving this year's Golden Boy Award. Italy's famous sports newspaper Tuttosport annually rewards the top player up to the age of 21 years with this prestigious award. 40 jurors were allowed to name 5 candidates in order 1 to 5, receiving at most 10 points, and for selection number 5, 1 point. Let's take a look at the top 5. Number 5 is Matthijs de Ligt, who was last year's winner. The Dutch national team captain transferred after an outstanding season with Ajax to Juventus Turin this summer. Number 4 goes to Erling Haaland, the Norwegian scoring sensation from Red Bull Salzburg. The 19-year-old has competition leading 8 goals in the Champions League, helping the Austrian side to a possible second place group finish ahead of Liverpool. Number 3 is German national team youngster Kai Havertz from Bayer Leverkusen, who had a great season with the Bundesliga team in 18-19 with 17 goals and 4 assists in 34 games. Number 2, also a Bundesliga star, England's Jadon Sancho had a stellar performance with Borussia Dortmund in 18-19 and is a target for almost every big club in Europe. He received 175 votes in total. The new number 1 is believed to be a valid successor of Cristiano Ronaldo. 19-year-old Portuguese striker João Félix impressed with home team Benfica before signing on a 126 million euro transfer fee with Atlético Madrid. Especially his 15 goals and 9 assists in 26 Portuguese league games in 18-19 made him number 1. He had a decisive number of 332 votes, 157 ahead of Sancho. Congratulations, Golden Boy João Félix. João Félix didn't score on Tuesday when his team Atlético Madrid lost 0-1 at Juventus Turin in Champions League action. Others, of course, reached impressive milestones in their career, as we take a look at some stunning records in our section Focus. The first one, Bayern Munich's Robert Lewandowski already has shattered several German Bundesliga records so far this season. Now he owns another one in the Champions League. His 4 consecutive goals in a decisive 6-0 victory at Red Star Belgrade were scored in the shortest span of minutes ever. It took the 31-year-old Polish striker just 14 minutes for his quadruple. 5 goals in one Champions League match is something that he hasn't done so far. For example, Messi, Luis Adriano and the other old Bayern legend Gerd Müller achieved this. So this is next for Lewandowski. Quick is not fast enough for Harry Kane. His double in a 4-2 Spurs victory against Olympiacos marked a new record. The 26-year-old three-lion captain reached 20 goals in just 24 Champions League games. Nobody ever has been faster. Records on a regular basis. It is for Lionel Messi. The 32-year-old made his 700th appearance as a Barcelona player in Barca's 3-1 victory over Dortmund. 1 goal and 2 assists propelled his scoring points in this 700 Barcelona games to an unbelievable figure of 863. Speaking of unbelievable, the world's most valuable player at 200 million euros market value, Kylian Mbappé played his 100th match for Paris Saint-Germain, scoring in a 2-2 tie at Real Madrid on Tuesday. The century mark for the 20-year-old has a Messi-like number of goals and assists to it. Mbappé has scored 70 goals and 36 assists in his first 100 matches for PSG. Next up, transfer markets rumor mill, and we have some familiar names in this category. First up, Jadon Sancho, the English international, came on as a substitute for Borussia Dortmund in Barcelona's Camp Nou, scoring a beautiful goal, the only one in Borussia's 1-3 defeat. A couple of mishaps with his team and most recently a first-half substitution in Germany's Classico against Bayern Munich seemed to pave the road for a timely transfer away from Dortmund for Sancho. As the Daily Star reports, the 19-year-old would prefer signing with Barcelona or Real Madrid rather than with Manchester United. Sancho's contract with Borussia runs into June 2022. His market value of 100 million euros will most likely be exceeded by a transfer fee in summer. Also eyeing Spain might be Raheem Sterling. To avoid a transfer of the 24-year-old 56-time capped three-line, his club Manchester City tries to convince him to stay by making him the best paid citizen player of all time. According to Telegraph, Man City's chairman Khaldoon Al-Mubarak is willing to pay a weekly stunning wage for Sterling, who has scored 5 times in as many Champions League games and stands at a market value of £126 million. Tottenham's Christian Eriksen is set to leave the Spurs in June 2020 as his contract expires. While Barcelona and Madrid seem to be favourite to sign the 27-year-old Danish midfielder, now there is a different interested party. As Corriere dello Sport and Sky Sport report, Juventus Torino joins the race for Eriksen, whose market value stands at £90 million. Again, 2 goals for Real Madrid could fuel a rumor that Le Parisien has about Karim Benzema. According to this source, the 31-year-old striker might add another 2 years to his contract with the Spanish Giants that now runs into June 2021. Benzema has played for Real since 2009, winning the Champions League 4 times and scoring 236 goals in 482 games for Madrid. Usually it is the elder British international players leaving for the Major League Soccer like Wayne Rooney. Now it could be the different direction for 20-year-old Argentine Ezequiel Barco. As Metro has it, both Arsenal and Manchester United are highly impressed and willing to sign the under 23-year-old Albi Celeste. Barco signed with the MLS side Atlanta United for 12.28 million euros from his home team Sea Independiente in Argentina in January 2018 and has recorded 59 games with 9 goals and 9 assists for the 2018 MLS champion. His market value stands at 8 million euros. Brazil, by winning the FIFA Under-17 World Cup, showed once again its enormous reservoir of talented world-class players. And Flamengo, by winning the Copa Libertadores, the Champions League of South America, in a heartbreaking 2-1 stoppage time victory over defending champion River Plate from Argentina. They showed the class of Brazilian players, thus leading us to a market value update that you can find on our website, and we take a look at 3 of the key figures in the triumph for Flamengo, the Brazilian side who won the Copa Libertadores. This is our market value update. We start with a man who scored both goals in stoppage time to win against River. Gabriel Barbosa, an Inter Milan loanee, he went up from 18 to 23 million euros. That's an increase of 27.8%. Next up, this man, Georgian de Arrascaeta, 25-year-old Uruguayan offensive midfielder. He improved from 13 million euros to 19 million euros. That's an impressive increase of 46.2%. for another key figure in winning the Copa Libertadores. And then there is Reinier, the 17-year-old offensive midfield sensation. He comes from the youth program from Flamengo, and Ajax Amsterdam has set eyes on him. They want to buy him, but his market value went up from 15 to 25 million euros, so it's gonna be an expensive transfer for Ajax Amsterdam. An increase in market value for Reinier of 66.6%. We move on to our news section. After almost 22 years with the same manager on the sideline, it took his successor only 17 months to be replaced. Unai Emery and Arsenal parted ways today. The 48-year-old Spaniard followed Arsene Wenger as Gunners head coach in July 2018. He never really lived up to his expectations, and after a drought With no victory since October 24th, spanning over 7 games, he had to go. Yesterday's 1-2 loss at Emirates to German side Frankfurt in the Europa League was the final factor for Gunners chairman Josh Kroenke to terminate the contract with Emery. Former Arsenal player and star Freddie Ljungberg takes over for the moment, according to Telegraph. There are some other candidates like Napoli's Carlo Ancelotti, Wolves manager Espirito Santo and Man City's assistant coach Mikel Arteta. Sky has a possible successor in Massimiliano Allegri. And now an inspiring and encouraging story from the Premier League. 12 months after completing a chemotherapy to battle cancer, 19-year-old Max Taylor was called up for the first time for Manchester United's senior squad that lost 1-2 in the Europa League at Kazakhstan to FC Astana. Taylor, who plays at central back, is a regular in United's under-23-year-old team and hopes to continue his success in health and on the field, once becoming a senior player for the Red Devils. Also in Premier League action, Brighton & Hove announced the contract extension for manager Graham Potter. The 44-year-old took over the Seagulls last May, sitting with his team in the 12th position of the league table. Enough for Brighton's chairman Tony Bloom, who extended Potter's already long-term arrangement from 2023 now until 2025. Hammarby EF is Zlatan Ibrahimovic's newest club. But not, as everybody first thought, as a player, but rather as a 25% owner of the Swedish team. The 38-year-old bought half of the Swedish amount of stocks of the Anschutz Entertainment Group, who is approximately 50% owner of Hammarby EF. Ibra said, "Joining Hammarby and helping the club to progress feels like fun and is exciting." Ibra's playing career will possibly resume with his former team Milan, who is favourite to sign the 116-time Swedish international in January. No further goals it is for striker Ezequiel Lavezzi. The 34-year-old former Argentine international called it quits following his last game for Chinese Super League side Hebei China Fortune. After the 1-3 defeat against Guangzhou Evergrande, he announced, "I'll always remember this game today because it was the last one of my career." Lavezzi joined Hebei in February 2016 after 4 years with PSG and 5 with Napoli. To honor a great career, we now have a couple of his goals from his last stint in the Chinese Super League for you. Happy trails, Ezequiel Lavezzi. And that's the end of this edition of Transfermarkt TV International. Have a nice weekend with some good football action. We will talk about it next week, promised. Have a good one.